thank you all. First thing I want to do is I want to thank the organizers of this event, because if you've never participated in organizing an event like this, or a campaign, dinner, anything the public gets involved with, it can be an overwhelming task. But it can be done as we've seen here. I want to thank the Tehama County contingent for coming, and yes, yesterday it was 104 in Tehama County in Red Bluff, so it's a nice break to come over here and visit with you all. So, why is the Tehama County Sheriff in Delaware County? Actually, this question was asked of me during the first event in October of last year, when Sheriff Lope asked us to come to, kind of the breakout event in Siskiyou County. Well, I'm here to support our sheriffs. I'm here to support the citizens. And as the Chief Law Enforcement Officer in Tehama County, it's very important for me to share what's going on in Tehama County with everybody in the state. So that's why I'm here. Also, I'm here to become educated on what's going on around us. I'll say this several times, I'm very fortunate to be the Tehama County Sheriff. Tehama County is an agricultural community. It's very diverse. Fruit, nuts, cattle, timber, a little bit of industry. And through no fault of my own, we're doing okay for now in Tehama County. So when I'm asked to get involved in these events, even though it's not as dire in Tehama County as it is in other counties, I'm not going to sit on my hands and wait for that direness to occur in Tehama County. Be proactive. I want to be proactive and stay ahead of the curve, so that as things start moving from north to south, we're prepared to deal with and learn from lessons we've learned, already experienced by other counties. So what's happening in Tehama County? Travel management plan. Yeah, it sounds harmless. However, and again, thanks to some citizens in our county who are ahead of the curve, we have a coordination committee in Tehama County, and we're dealing with the travel management plan. Maybe not as aggressively as we should, but with the guidance of citizens who are more educated in this area than me, we continue to forge ahead. And the Shasta Trinity National Forest, we have made some advances in not having to set back and listen to roads being closed, because we beat the drum up here, but our primary responsibility as sheriffs is public safety. Okay, and if we're not able to, we have the marijuana problem too, thanks to, I guess probably the rest of the states can thank us for marijuana. However, we're very proactive with the enforcement of marijuana laws, the illegal portion of the laws, and we have 4 national forests in our county, so we're very active in our forests, trying to protect our citizens who still like to use the forest, and to prevent the crimes from occurring in the forest. So when we hear about roads being closed in our forests, it hinders our ability to, 1, enforce the laws, and 2, develop search and rescue missions to try and save our citizens who sometimes get lost in the forest. So we've created a coordination committee. I'm being very lucky. On our committee we have 2 board of supervisors. We have our county council who's actively involved. We have a great group of citizens that are involved in it, and they represent timber, water, forestry, water, grazing, all those interests. So we're moving forward with the coordination process. And I can assure you that I would not have become as well educated, trying to become well educated on coordination, if I wasn't involved with this group of people up here, and our group of people that are, the Public Land Committee for the State Sheriff's Association. We talked a little bit about the fact that as elected sheriffs and constitutional officers, we represent all people in our jurisdictions. And that's very important to me, that we represent everybody in our jurisdiction, because we have all different walks of people in Tehama County and in the North State, and we have to represent them with no bias. So, that's one of my mantras. We talked about bureaucracy. You know, it's kind of ironic sitting here listening, and we've listened to bureaucracy for years, but one of the campaign speeches that I prepared 2 years ago during our campaign was the fact that we've created this bureaucracy. Why can't we undo it? And I think that's part of the message that we're trying to get across to, from up here down to the citizens of our counties, that, you know, we need to back off a little bit on this bureaucracy, and I think we can do it. So I want to tell you a real quick story about a coordination meeting that occurred, and the fact that citizens have told me that you know, you have all this power, but unless you push and push and push, nothing's going to happen with the federal and state government. And so, okay, so we're having a coordination meeting with a national forest that's in our county recently. And one of the big issues in this is in this national forest, it has been so constricted with road closures that the economies of communities in the forest are being choked. The life's being choked from them. So we invite the forest manager to come talk to us, and we're talking about these road closures and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And they offer us the fact they're going to open a few miles of roadway. Right? Great. So one of our citizens on the committee asks, well, when's this going to happen? Well, it may be a year from now. Well, why? Well, it just takes time to do this. Well, why does it take so long? Well, and the engineer for the forest was sitting in the audience. So the forest manager turned around and started looking at the engineer. And she's like, well, well, we have to sign it. Okay. All right. So the citizen on our committee says, well, we have an active snowmobile group up there that will take care of the signage if that's what it takes. We'll go do it for you. Well, we have to get the signs. Okay, well, how long does it take to get the signs? Well, have you actually ordered them yet? They're being ordered as we speak. So I tell that story because, I mean, I'm as guilty as any of you all. You know, when I was growing up, and even most of my career, I thought government knew everything, right? I thought that, you know, the local, state, federal government, it's, you know, they always do the right thing. They're looking out for us.
They are.
And as I started to go through becoming mature in my career, and then I get to the position where I'm at, one of the reasons I ran for sheriff was I didn't think things were going right, was that, you know, our government is made up of people. And those people can be misled and misinformed just like we can. So we need to get involved. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here. Anybody, any registered foresters here? Yes, one in the back. Okay, you know, as I become more educated in this world, I met with a forester a couple days ago, and I spent several hours listening to him. And I know about the forest. I know I spent my entire life, professionally and personally, in the hills and in the forest. So I know what's going on up there. But you know, when I said we have some timber stuff going on in our forest, we have 4 national forests. We also have 3 timber companies in our county. We have Crane Mills, we have Collins Pine, we have Sierra Pacific. And I always wondered why, you know, they're logging, but not to the extent that, I mean, I think we should be, or how are these guys able to log and work in the woods, but we can't work on the national forest? So I read my first timber management plan some time ago, and yeah. But what I learned in reading the timber management plan, and part of my message to you all today, and talking to this forester, is these are not willy-nilly things. When we create a timber management plan, today or historically, they're just not, we're going to fly by the night, we're going to go out and take these trees. Yeah, we've made some mistakes in the forestry world, but they're comprehensive studies. And in the past, they've been studies that have involved both sides. The private sector who's bidding for the job, and the government sector who's protecting the government's, the land's rights. So when we talk about undoing bureaucracy, why can't we go back to that aspect of timber management? I did a radio program last week from a Sacramento radio station, and it's one of those things when you become the sheriff, you people pop up from everywhere. Hey, remember me? Yeah. Yes, I do remember you. I met you years ago. Well, would you do this program? Okay, so I did this question and answer thing. It was scripted. I had time to prepare. I think it went pretty well, but it was in the Sacramento area. So the last question was, how do we get our sheriff involved with what you guys are doing? Yeah. So in fairness to Sac County Sheriff, I said, well, you know, Sac County is different from the North State. No kidding. Right? We have the same crime, but geographically, we're different in all aspects. So please don't blame the Sac County Sheriff if he's not getting involved with what's going on in the North State as far as our issues up here. Which brings me to, I think, a monumental leap that we've made with our North State in the fact that, you know, when I became sheriff, I felt I don't want to be totally a political monster. So with the State Sheriff Association, which I'm learning is a fairly powerful organization as far as the watchdog on laws and you know, everything else that's occurring in the state, I was real hesitant to get involved in that. You know, my thing is, I'm the Tehama County Sheriff. I want to take care of what's going on in Tehama County. That's my primary responsibility. But when Sheriff Lope came up with the inaugural event in October up in Siskiyou County about what's going on up there, I think it was Tom Allman's idea after the event. You know what? We all have the same issues. We should get together and we should talk about what's going on in our jurisdictions as North State sheriffs, rural sheriffs. And so, you know, I said, well, that's a great idea, and I want to be part of that. So, as time evolved and things moved forward, and yeah, we're not anti-government. We're not, you know, we're not way out there on the right. We're not way on the left. We developed an ad hoc committee with the State Sheriff Association for Public Lands Committee, and so as time went on. Our last state meeting through the State Sheriff Association, we became a standing committee with the State Sheriff Association, which is a big deal for us because it gets back to that question of how do I get my Sacramento County Sheriff involved with you all? Well, in a way, he is being involved because as we develop and research laws, projected laws, bills that affect us as North State communities, we can broadcast that to the rest of the state sheriffs and they start hearing about what's going on in our communities. Because just like we've learned by doing all these talks, the more we talk about our issues and the more educated we become on the issues, the less daunting, the less scary they are, and they really come down to things that we can attack to help our citizens. And real quick, because I know we got the closer coming up, I drew a good straw. You know, most of my career has been as a worker bee. It's been major crimes and dope, and that's been my career. And so when I think about, you know, somebody's already said it, we're on our own here. We can't rely on the federal government, the state government. We're government at its purest. We're the first rung, the first step of government. We're the people. We're people up here. The only difference between us and you, the only difference is we have the ability to deprive you of your most precious, God-given, American right, and that's your freedom. We can take your liberty from you. That's really the only difference between you and us. Okay? So it's important to remember that. Chuckle from the... Now I want to talk about water real quick. One water story. Take a drink. One water story. You know, again, we take it for granted. All the time growing up, I take it for granted. But, you know, it's kind of a little bit of perspective with water. It's abundant in our North State. My son, who I'm very proud of, he's 26 years old. He did 2 tours in Iraq. He's a crew chief on a helicopter. really put it in perspective, he called me one night. You know, he's an air crew guy, so he's got these perks other guys and gals don't have over there. So he calls me on the sat phone, and he's mad. I go, what's wrong with you? Well, they had to fly a general from one side of the country to the other. And it was for a birthday. And he doesn't understand, at that time, he didn't understand the bureaucracy and the politics. You know, he's 26. Well, at that time, he was 20. So he's just hopping mad. I said, what's wrong with you? He said, we had to fly this general from one side of the country to the other, and they're flying over these rivers. The only time they get shot at is when they fly over the rivers, because why? That's where people live. Yeah. So I'm going to wind up with this. It's been said before. It's just like we have to do. Beware of what you hear in the media and on the internet, and always question and verify what Dave Hencratt says when you see it and you're not a person-to-person context. And thanks again for getting me out of the 104-degree heat from Red Bluff, California.